Chair calls the meeting to order and have a roll call by the secretary.
Mr. Fiddler.
Here.
Mr. Oberlin. Mr. Love. Mr. Burridge.
Here.
Mr. Huckabee.
Here.
Mr. Alexander.
Here.
Mr. Burgess.
Here.
Mr. Regan.
Here.
Chair declares a quorum to be present to conduct business. We'll hear a motion for the approval of the minutes of the September 5th, 2017 minutes.
Motion approved.
We have a motion.
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, please vote. Motion passes. Thank you. The consent docket is next. It's items 128 through 129. Am I looking at that right, guys? Guess I am. If there's a commissioner that wants to pull an item out and talk about it individually, we will do that by unanimous consent. Otherwise, we'll hear a motion.
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, please vote. Motion passes. Thank you. Mr. Tiegler will present the engineering contracts. Thank you,
Good
sir.
morning, Mr. Chairman,
Good morning.
members of the commission. Commissioner Fiddler, a little lonely over there.
Please, here.
Item 130, engineering contracts. I have 12 parts this morning. Part A is a statewide all district. This is our, we've selected 5 firms for the biological assessment, monitoring, and surveys of threatened and endangered species. Bald eagle and migratory birds, we've selected Blackbird Environmental, Garver, HDR Engineering, Mead and Hunt, and Olson Associates. Part B is a statewide all districts as well. This is our on-demand wetland and stream mitigation. We've selected Blackbird Environmental, Intercon Services, HDR Engineering, Kleinfelder, and Stantec Consulting Services. Part C, statewide all districts as well. This is our off-system bridge inspection. This is our national bridge inspection standards where we have to go ahead and inspect our public roads, bridges for every 2 years cycle. We've selected AIA Engineers, Burgess and Nyepel, CEC Corporation, Garver, Guy Engineering Services, H.W. Lochner, Infrastructure Engineers, Kimley Horn and Associates, MKEC Engineering, and Walter P. Moore and Associates. This is Part D. Also, this is Adair County in District 1. We selected MKEC Engineering to provide engineering and construction plans for US 59. This is a total not to exceed amount of $1,168,494.55. This is in the 8-year construction work plan in FY 2023. Actually, Part D through L, I'll just say up front that all of these are in our 8-year construction work plan. Now, Part E is Cherokee County, Commission District 1. This is Tetra Tech, who we've selected to do construction plans and engineering for State Highway 51. Total not to exceed amount of $760,300. Part F, Sequoia County in District 1 as well. We've selected Triad Design Group to do the engineering and construction plans for State Highway 10A. Total not to exceed amount is $680,400. Part G in Wagner County, Commission District 1. We selected professional engineering consultants to do engineering construction plans for US 69 bridges. This total not to exceed amount is $585,650. Part H in Custer County in District 5, we've selected H.W. Lochner to do the engineering and construction plans for Airport Road over I-40. Total not to exceed amount is $841,525.90. Part I in Creek County in Commission District 8. We've selected CP&Y to do the engineering and construction plans for State Highway 99 over Cimarron River. Total not to exceed amount is $518,300. Part J, Delaware County, District 8 as well. Department has selected MacArthur Associated Consultants to provide the engineering and construction plans for US 59. Total not to exceed amount is $588,680. Part K in Mays County, Commission District 8 as well. Department has selected Aguirre Fields to do the engineering and construction plans for State Highway 28. Excuse me. Total not to exceed amount, $846,169. And finally, Part L, Tulsa County and District 8 as well. Department selected Meshek and Associates to do the engineering and construction plans for State Highway 11 over Bird Creek. Total not to exceed amount is $344,768. Approval is recommended. Try to answer any questions if you have any.
Heard the presentation of the engineering contracts by Mr. Tiegler. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion.
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, please vote. Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Tiegler. Would you move to item 131, the contract supplements?
I have three parts this month as well. Part A is a statewide. This is our off-system bridge inspection contract with EST. Supplement not to exceed amount is $20,193.24. This is to pay a final invoice. Part B, K County Commission District 4. This is with Poe and Associates. Do the final design plans for I-35 northbound and southbound over the Blackwell Northern Railroad. Supplement not to exceed amount is $27,000. This project is in our 8-year construction work plan, scheduled let date of federal fiscal year of 2022. And finally, Part C in Payne County in Commission District 4. This is final design plans for State Highway 33 with MacArthur Associated Consultants. The supplement not to exceed amount is $20,500. This project is also in the 8-year construction plan, federal fiscal year 2019. Approval is recommended, and I'll try to answer any questions.
Heard the presentation of the engineering contract supplements. Do we have a motion? Have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, please vote. Motion passes. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Tiegler.
gentlemen.
Item number 132 is the lettings. Mr. Atkins. Oh, we've got a pinch hitter.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. Agenda item 132 consists of the tentative January and tentative February 2018 bid openings. The department requests and recommends approval of this item.
Heard the presentation of the item. What's your pleasure for item 132?
Move to approve.
I have a motion.
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, please vote on the lettings. Motion passes. Thank you. Item 133, Mr. Leonard's going to present. It is the change orders with a cumulative total of $75,000 or less, presented as informational item. If you do not have any questions about that, we'll ask him to move to item 134, which is the change orders greater than $75,000. Is there anyone in the commission that has any questions on item 133? No questions, you can move to item 134.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I'd like to present item 134, parts A through B. Those represent the change orders with projects with a cumulative total of $75,000 or greater, and your approval is recommended.
Heard the presentation. Do we have a motion for item 134?
Motion approved.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, please vote. Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Leonard. Item number 135 is the awards. Mr. Noka. Did I say that right?
That's right.
Thank you. We really enjoyed your presentation this morning in the committee meeting. You did a great job.
All right, thank you. Item 135 is our recommendations for the September 21st bid opening. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. It is recommended that the following items from the September 21st, 2017 bid opening referred to by call order be awarded. Call order 10, call order 20, 22, 24, 25, 27, 29, 30, 43, 45, 50, 70, 100, 103, 105, 108, 110, 120, 150, 155, 157, and 170. It is recommended that the following items from the September 21st, 2017 bid opening referred to by call order be rejected. Call Order 140 in lieu of the combined project Call Order 150 and Call Order 165. This concludes the recommendations for award. Your approval is requested.
You've heard the presentation on the awards. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, please vote. Motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item 136 is a settlement of damages. Ms. Helms, come on.
Again, thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. Agenda item 136 is for the settlement for damages to state property. On July 17, 2016, Ronnie Harris was traveling southbound on I-35 in Ardmore in Carter County. Mr. Harris was traveling at a high rate of speed when he struck another vehicle in the rear, and both exited the highway, hitting some guardrail, causing the cost to repair of $607.35. Mr. Harris was insured by Farm Bureau with a policy limit of $25,000. The insurance company is offering to pay $75, leaving the remaining amount uncollectible. And it's not economically feasible to pursue the balance of this, so the commission, we're recommending and requesting approval of the settlement of this offer.
There it is. We got to make a decision.
Motion to approve 136.
We have a motion to approve 136.
Second.
And we have a second. Any discussion? Thank you guys for pursuing all of these and getting every penny you can. I want you to know we really appreciate it, and especially the extended efforts that you always take. We need to vote. Motion passes. Thank you. I notice you're not moving, so that means we're coming up to the budget revisions.
Yes, sir.
We're ready for you to present them.
Okay. Agenda item 137 has 7 parts. Part A is a request to increase the federal share of the capital outlays for the carryover federal earmark revenues in the amount of $177 million, providing $24 million for the planning contracts, $18 million for engineering, $81 million for federal aid, $46 million federal aid city projects, $7.8 for county, and $200,000 for the rail crossings. Part B is an increase for the asset preservation program in the amount of $16.4 million. Also, a carryover amount with roads fund as the funding source. Part C is an increase to the building replacement program in the amount of $1.2 million. Also a carryover of roads fund. Part D is for the B projects in the amount of $3.5 million. Part E is the increase also for routine highway maintenance in the amount of $14.8 million. And Part F is an increase in the state share of right-of-way in the amount of $3.2 million, which is a return of the revenue shortfall that we experienced last year. And Part G is an increase for the depreciable equipment of $841,000, also a carryover. The department requests and recommends approval of this item.
Appreciate your presentation of that item. Where are we at?
Motion approved.
Have a motion to approve.
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes. Thank you very much. Mr. Johnson's going to present the asset preservation plan.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Agenda item number 138 is the presentation of the department's asset preservation plan. We have completed the proposed 18 through 21 asset preservation plan with consideration for the critical needs of the Oklahoma transportation infrastructure. When item 138 is presented as an informational item, happy to try to answer any questions that you might have.
How about it, guys? Everybody's got the final copy, don't they? Y'all all had one? Okay.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Just information. We didn't need a motion on it. Thank you, though. You can make a motion to add more money to it. as a proclamation, we can send it over to the legislature and see if we can get some. Because this asset preservation plan is woefully inadequate. If there are no questions, Mr. Johnson, you can move to the 8-year construction work plan.
Item 139 is the presentation of the 8-year construction work plan. The department has completed the proposed 18 through 25 construction work plan with consideration for the critical needs and the projected federal and state funding availability. The encompassed projects have been defined, validated, and included in coordination with the transportation needs and priorities of the state. Commission approval of the 18 through 25 construction work plan is recommended and requested at this time.
So we will need a motion on the construction work plan, and every commissioner's visited with the director, the chief engineer, and their division engineers and others in developing this reduced and downsized 8-year construction work plan. Have you not? Every one of you guys have got to visit. Okay. Are there any questions, or somebody ready to make a motion to approve this reduced 8-year construction work plan?
Motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve?
Second.
Second, and I trust, Mr. Secretary, that you'll have some comments and you don't need to hear our long-winded ones yet. Okay. If there are no other comments, we'll vote on this. It passes in its current form.
To mention just briefly that now that it has passed, that the full plan and the maps, construction work plans, will be available via our website, probably later this afternoon, but just for your information. Appreciate it.
Are we still hanging is the first plan we're deleting still hung on my ear out there? The Medill plan, since I'm the poster child for the, thank you, everybody. Anthony, we can't go back to Medill. Thank you for that presentation. Item 140 is the director's report, and we hope to and expect to hear a lot from you at this point.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the confidence and a long-winded speech, but I don't know that I have one. But Commission, I want to thank you for working with us on developing this year's 8-year plan, the 16th 8-year plan that we've put out. And I say that and I emphasize that because there are some who believe there's one 8-year plan and we're about to finish it. Well, no, there's always an 8-year plan because this agency, we're looking out 30 years. Anytime we do a project, we're looking out 30 years and what the impact will be and what on the infrastructure with our project. And we also have to look out 30 years to try to forecast and predict what's going to happen in 30 years. So we're trying to build for 30 years out. And I know sometimes it doesn't seem like that. An example would be I-35 from downtown Oklahoma City to Norman. You might think, well, it's outdated. I mean, it's at capacity, right? Well, we started that project, the construction of it, in 1979, so it's been more than 30 years ago, and yes, it's exceeded its capacity. It exceeded the expectations we had for it in 1979 when we started construction. And so that brings me to why we're changing our strategy a little bit with this 8-year plan. We have to complete some of these corridors. We have been, I'm not going to say just messing around, but we have been hit or miss on some of our corridor projects. I-35 should have been finished long before it was completed. But we have so many needs in the state that we had to address anything and everything. But we're going to focus on corridors. US 270 in northwest Oklahoma, we're going to focus on that one. We've got to get that completed. We've been working on that one for a long time, otherwise known as the George Nye Northwest Passage. It's time to complete it. The interdispersal loop in downtown Tulsa, we've got to get that completed. We've been picking at it, it's time to finish. We have a huge corridor in eastern Oklahoma called US 69. It is a major truck route. The federal government has put emphasis on truck and freight corridors. We've got to attack that corridor. And we've done so with the first project being in Calera, which is south of Durant. As you recall, we got a fast lane grant, which is going to jumpstart that project. And so we dropped that into the 8-year plan, and we're focused on that. We have other needs on US 69. We have trucking bottlenecks all up and down 60. It has interstate like traffic on it. So we have to address that. We have what we commonly refer to as the realignment of US 81 around Chickasha, which is another freight bottleneck in Grady County. We need to get in and get that done. The citizens of Chickasha are tired of having trucks clogging their downtown. That is not even to mention the one that concerns me, not the most, but greatly, is the fact that the state of Texas is bringing 8 lanes of I-35 across the Red River, and they're many years ahead of us. They're going to drop 8 lanes on our 4 lanes, and we don't have an answer. The answer's not in the current 8-year plan, but we're going to have to come up with an answer. And then you couple that, the fact that we need to complete some of this, with the fact that 6 of the last 8 years, we have been partly the solution to the state's budget problem. $838 million of our budget has been used to balance the state's budget. I purposely brought up to the podium with me the 2010 to 2017 8-year plan. It's the last known copy of this plan, and I swore I'd return it to Mr. Johnson unscathed. But if you think about this plan, 6 of the 8 years of this plan were affected by balancing the state's budget. Last year, in fiscal year 17, the 16 legislative session, $323 million were taken out of the highway program to balance the state budget. We told the legislature at the time, we will keep all the projects in the 8-year plan, but this is the last time we can do it. If you take more money away from us, we won't be able to keep all the projects in the plan. So this last year, the budget we're in now, $153 million came out. If you do that, then projects are going to slide out of the plan. So we have about 40 projects that are sliding out of the 8-year plan. One of them the chairman mentioned. One that was in this plan is now sliding out of the 8-year plan that we adopted today, and that's the new routing of US 70 around Medill. A project that we've all been working on at some level for many years, but we just can't keep it in there. In developing the current 8-year plan, not only did we have to move projects out of the plan, which is just an act of sliding, and every year that we have gone through these budget situations, we've been sliding projects. This year, 42% of the projects in the plan slid at least a year. Some more than that, some out. And that's the 40 that went out. But as we do that, it's a very difficult task to go through because we've worked on these projects. We have put money and employees behind these projects and developing maybe the plans. We may be into purchasing right-of-way. We've had public meetings. We've told the public that this is what we're going to be working on. And that's what we've always prided ourselves on, is the fact that we're transparent. We tell everyone what we're going to be working on and what year we're going to be doing it. We're in a situation now where we're telling people we're not quite sure that we're actually telling them the truth. We find ourselves in a situation where we say, yes, it's in the current 8-year plan, but will it be in the next 8-year plan? That's not a situation we ever wanted to find ourselves. A couple of months ago, I mentioned to you that, and it was borne out by our long-range plan, but we've done a little ciphering and figured out with 6,800 bridges on our system, on the highway system, we need to rehabilitate and most likely replace 90 bridges each and every year. As we've been working on our structurally deficient bridge problem, we've been taking care of 250 bridges a year so we could get caught up. Because as you know, we were next to last in bridge condition back in 2004 and 5. 17% of our bridges were structurally deficient, with the goal of being in the top 5 in the country by 2020. And we're going to meet that goal. As Rick mentioned, all of the known structurally deficient bridges are in the current 8-year plan. We're still focused on that. We cannot get off of that. Number one measure, number one goal of this agency is to get our bridges top 5 in the country. But in doing that, we have to be able to sustain that position. 90 bridges a year. That's far less. That's half of what we've been doing. But last year in the 8-year plan, we added 44 bridges. This current 8-year plan, we added 15. Not 90 like we should have, but 44 and 15. Because we have so many needs in the state. Our rural highway pavement is deteriorating on us faster than we can keep up with. We have some safety concerns that everybody wants us to take care of. And so we're trying to manage all this and manage the fact that we lost $838 million worth of budget. The 90 bridges a year not being added to the 8-year plan, we won't notice it in the few years in the near term. But by 2028 and 2029, we will begin to lose ground on what we've been working on for the last decade. To get us up to the top 5, the hard part is to sustain that position. I now know that. And that is going to be a challenge for this agency going forward. We've already lost ground. We have to find a way to make that up. That being said, there's a lot of great things that are going on. As I mentioned, we're beginning to focus on the corridors, US 69, 270, US 54 in the Panhandle, I-35, I-40, US 81. But we have to. The thing that all of those have in common, they're heavy freight corridors. This country is moving a lot of freight, and we have to be a participant in that. We have to provide that mobility and that safety, not only to the freight that's moving, but more importantly to the citizens of Oklahoma as they commute, as they travel on those same routes. As you look to the future, we're going to have autonomous vehicles, self-driving cars. We're going to have connected vehicles that are talking to each other. We're going to have trucks that are linked together. And I'm telling you, we're not ready for that. And that's going to be here before we know it. Other states are in a much better position than we are because they're not fighting a bridge problem. They're not fighting a pavement issue. We're all working on capacity, but some are further along with what the future holds, and we're not ready for that. But with all of that, I need all of us to think about how well we've done. When you think about this plan and the effect of $838 million, if you go back to the first plan, 2003, think about, we have put in more than 600 miles of cable barrier. We had years in which we had 39 crossover fatalities on multi-lane facilities. We began to put in cable barrier. We had a 3-year period of where we have more than 100 fatalities. In recent history, we're single digits, crossover fatalities, all because of that cable barrier, the great things that we've done. Our structurally deficient bridge numbers, 1,168 down to 251. We've decreased our structurally deficient bridges by 82%. That's huge. We're doing good things. Our interstate system, you have to think back to the early 2000s, not all that long ago, but eons ago, because it's a distant memory to us. I can remember I-35 and I-40, pavement was bad, and it wasn't all just because of surface. Some of it was because of the base. Back then, we would have people come into the state and say, I know when I cross the state line because roads got worse. Now they know when they got to the state line because the roads get better. We're doing great things. We're completing corridors. We're finishing major interchanges in our metropolitan areas where people can get around, have more mobility, and more safety. So I don't want this to be necessarily a negative day, because one thing has held true throughout this whole process. Every project in the 8-year plan from 2003 to today was selected by this agency and this commission without the political influence of here's your money, here's your list of projects. The professionals at ODOT have always known what to do and when to do it and how to do it, and they've been allowed to continue to do it. We're unique in that operation in this country. Too many states have too much political influence, but we've been allowed, and that's a trust that's been given to this agency, and we honor that trust today, that we were given additional money and we select the projects. My hope is that in this special session, the legislature can find additional revenue to take care of their shortfall that they're working with, that they don't have to come to this agency to get additional money to balance the budget. But if they do, we will adjust. We will never whine, we will simply adjust. And I'm hoping that they can find a solution to the budget problems of the future so that ODOT can carry on with the money that's provided to us in the statutes, and we can put it on the roads and bridges of this state. Mr. Chairman, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Does anybody have any questions of the secretary? Well, go ahead.
I would just, in the northwest part of the state, we have so many narrow roads without shoulders. I would hope that working with the legislature, you guys could see a way to work on those type of roads, not only in northwest Oklahoma, but all across the state. We have roads with no shoulders on them, and really appreciate you working on the corridors too. We just need more money, I think, to be spent wisely, and we were really excited about getting a lot of work done here, and it's starting to slow down, and it's just, we would really like to make some of these roads a lot safer.
Commissioner, if I might, one of the things that we've been focusing on, and we talked about this before, is when I was winding down our structurally deficient bridge problem and making our bridges more manageable, where we're controlling them and they're not controlling us. We were going to focus more on shoulders for narrow two-lane highways. With the last, and I'll have to, somebody will recalculate it for me and keep me on the straight and narrow, but as we looked at the 8-year plan that was approved last year at this time, and the needs of shoulders on our narrow two-lane highways, with the funding the way it was going to take us 50 years to get our shoulders in place. Well, that's too long. And that's what I was referring to earlier, but I appreciate you bringing up the point. we need to be accelerating our improvements, not decelerating what we're working on.
It just seems like what I see out in the northwest part of the state, you know, numerous loads we have out there, you know, through whether it be energy or wind energy or what, they just get longer and wider, and it's harder to get around them, and it becomes, you know, very compact on those roads for a lot of cars.
Thank you.
You know, many years ago, I guess I was in junior high when I got interested in transportation. My stepfather was the janitor at Division II. And, you know, you'd go down there with him and you'd see that equipment roll in and out. And, it, you know, for a young guy, it was really interesting. And I think my first W-2 was from Muskogee Bridge. And, you know, when I became associated with this agency in an official way around 1990, you know, it was obvious that projects were built based off of who was hollering the loudest. And, you know, after a few years, we adopted a mantra of the truth will set you free. Do what you say you're gonna do. Plan these projects. Let the department figure the priority. And, you know, this is gonna be the first time since we started the 8-year plan that we're not gonna do what we said we would do. We have now pulled out projects, and that project in Medill, I remember telling those people, if you guys, we know you need work done, but you don't all agree. And so we finally got the community to agree what to do, and we finally got projects planned, and we have been telling everybody, you know, you can count on our word. That's how we got the confidence of the legislature in this department. And it's been huge throughout the state, the 8-year plan has. I believe the credibility level of it is very high, but it won't be anymore. I mean, we're gonna have to work extra hard now, and I know you're trying to present a positive message. We've gotten a lot of things done, but, you know, I-35 was about to turn into a gravel road in a place or two before we started getting funding that we needed. I mean, that's just the facts. And, you know, if we want people to drive around our state through Arkansas now think about what I'm saying. Drive around Oklahoma and go through Arkansas. That wouldn't be something anybody would have thought about, but they will now. I mean, we've got great improvements right now, but in a very, you know, we're not gonna keep up. We already know we're not gonna keep up with the bridges. We're never gonna get our I mean, we can talk about working on our 2-lane roads, and as I've said in commission meetings before, there's a lot of economic development that is waiting to be spent, but it's not gonna happen because we don't have roads to those areas. But other states are responding around us, and they're gonna take our business. It's gonna happen. And, you know, our funding mechanism is horrible. It's horrible, it's horrible, it's horrible. We got to do something about that. We got to change the way we're funded. You know, and, you know, maybe some of that'll happen. But sooner or later, as a state, we got to quit waiting to see what everybody else does and then respond. You know, we've been a leader in a lot of ways, and this 8-year plan is a way to be a leader. But we don't need to abandon it. I know there's other problems in other agencies, but if you want to drag yourself up by the bootstraps, you got to have a transportation infrastructure. It's just that simple. Appreciate you guys and your effort.
Thank you.
Any more discussion about this? Do you have anything else to talk to us about? Well, we appreciate your effort and that of the department.
Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, I'd like to comment on it.
We certainly don't mind.
One of my favorite quotes is, do what you can with what you have where you are, mainly because it's short and I can remember it, but that's what we did with this 8-year plan. We managed scarce resources, and I just want to thank everybody, all the division engineers. I know Randall White with the 11 counties in Division 8 had numerous projects we had to kick. I mean, it was brutal. We had to slide down. But I don't want to get into those because I don't want to get parochial. I just want to let you know that I appreciate everybody in this room, all our subcontractors, everybody that has worked so hard together, because the effort that goes into this 8-year plan is incredible. It's not something we just slap together. It's not necessarily a template. Everything is absolutely measured. And in our basically mission statement for this department, it's, have a safe and efficient transportation system. I'm not sure how safe it's going to be. I don't want to be negative. It's going to be safe as it can be, but it will be efficient, and it is efficient. When you can go to this document and turn into a year, 3 years from now, and point to a county and highlight something that's going to happen, and this plan has been tested in good times and bad. In good times, when we have the money, some people in the legislature, with all due respect, and rightfully so, by the way, are saying things like, well, if you have it, how will you really spend it? Do you really need it? Well, now that's tested and we're pulling things out of it, the proof's in the pudding. And I think in this calamity, because it's a tough time, and I'm not poking at anybody. I just want to say I think it is an opportunity for everybody in this room to talk to the legislature and talk to community leaders and say, enough is enough. I know you're balancing a lot of things, healthcare, public safety, education, they're all there. But we've got a plan for this stuff, and I think it's a chance for us to tell our story now that we have been tested. We've still got a plan, and we're working it. So I really, really appreciate all the work that's been put into it.
Commissioner, with your comments, it brings to mind something former Director and Secretary Neil McCaleb said, and it's been kind of our mantra as well, that you cut the suit to fit the cloth. If you don't have the money, we're not going to continue to tell people we're going to do projects when we don't really have the money to do it. You can only make the suit so big with the cloth that we have. And so that's why we find ourselves in a position this year where we have to continue to slide those projects, and some of them slid out.
And one other comment, we received this morning a freight plan. In the next several years, freight is going to go up. It addresses rail and ports, and that's very, very important, obviously. But part of it is the trucking, and it's going to increase in some of these corridors by up to 40%. So it's not stopping. And it's, just not about economic development. It's safety and quality of life, but it's all the above. So just got to keep on keeping on.
Well, if we'll build the roads and we'll maintain them, we'll be a lot better off in raising revenue to do other things. That's just the way it is. I mean, that's.
Can I comment on I got one positive thing to say here, if you don't mind.
That was all positive.
Yesterday in Woodward,
I'll fix it
Oklahoma,
after you
we
say it.
became a quiet zone for the railroad. And I want to thank you, Secretary Moody, or not Secretary, sorry. I've got all these names rolling around in my head. I'm sorry, he's moved way up fast. Secretary Ridley helped a whole bunch with it. Craig Moody with the Railroad Department, BNSF, the Federal Railroad Commission. Thank you guys so much. It's such a great deal. However, I sat down there and watched the first train that came through. I saw Still blew his horn yesterday. But they said it takes a couple of weeks to get it, but it's going to be a great deal. Our hospital is about 300 feet from the railroad track. We have about 80 trains a day, so it's going to be very, very nice when it gets done.
Good things can happen when they're properly funded.
Hey, they walked me through this. They walked the city of Woodward through it. We would have never got it done without you guys' help, so thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We need to always remember, we were in the gutter, and we have gotten out of the gutter. And if we keep going the direction that we're going in now, we're going to get back in the gutter, and it's not going to take a long time to get there, because the bridges will last a while. Those roads, they'll fall apart, especially the ones we've never addressed. But anyway, you guys do a great job with what you've got. If there's nothing else to come before the commission, I better make sure that we don't have something slip up on us here. We don't. We'll hear a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Hearing no discussion, we'll vote, and we will be adjourned.